Welcome back to the ZERT Coffee and Chaos Podcast, a show where we talk about anything and everything relating to what it means to be a survivalist and a prepared individual in today's society. I'm your host, Chris Bartagone, ZP002. Today on the show, we've got a special guest, two guests. Special guest is a company that you guys have heard me talk about them before, but welcome to the show, Jeff and Jen.
Hey, thanks. That was the coolest intro like ever.
Dude, it's funny, like technology is definitely something that I've evolved with, right? And so when I started to do this podcast, and it's what's even funnier is when I went and looked on the YouTube channel and started looking back on the old podcast videos and how I started when I was told by the guy. So we're on the Firearms Radio Network. So if you guys aren't aware, and this is for you guys and for anybody listening, our shows go out every week on the Firearms Radio Network on Thursdays on Spotify and Apple. And when I started doing the shows, he was like, yeah, you got to evolve into video, because then you clip these and it goes on social media and you got to do this and you got to make shorts and reels. And I'm like, what? I can't do all this. And the program that we use to do all this is called StreamYard, and it's a great little digital studio and allows us to have guests like you guys on that, because we don't have the ability to fly people in or people schedule. I watch these Sean Ryan podcasts, all these podcasts where they've got people in the studios. I'm like, that's cool. How are you guys doing that? I guess it makes sense if you live in a place where people want to go visit, but nobody wants to come to Connecticut just to do a podcast. I mean, that's horrible. So having this available was huge. And then when I started to get in here, like you said, that intro used to be something that I would have to do in post-production. I would have to go and do it and clip it all together. Then StreamYard went ahead and they upgraded because it's software, and they added that feature. It is so cool. It makes the post editing situation 10 times easier when it's all said and done. But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. You guys, I thank you for joining me today. As everybody, or if you guys are listening to this show, that at the time of this recording, it is actually Christmas Eve. So we are not out last minute shopping because we're prepared individuals, and we definitely did that before. I'm totally lying, guys. I literally am going to get done with this, put on shoes, and go to the store, and I got to get those last minute gifts. But so Merry Christmas Eve to you guys, and thank you for spending some of your day on the show with me today. So
thank you for having us. We appreciate the opportunity to get on here and talk with like-minded individuals.
Yes, it is. We were talking before the show started about the plans, the Christmas plans for you guys, and for me, it's going to be just a long couple of days. And thankfully, liquor stores are still open, and we've got to stock up. Instead, we're just going a little bit of coffee for our Coffee and Chaos podcast for the day. So, for our listeners out there, Jeff and Jen are the owners of DMO Knives. You guys have heard me talk about DMO Knives before. We just did a video that aired over on YouTube. So if you're not following our YouTube channel, head over there and find the ZERT YouTube channel, subscribe to that and like some videos, hit the bell so you get notified when we drop videos like we did with the DMO Knives. I've known about the brand now for, I think it's over a decade. I've got 3 of the blades. I've got an original, an OG DMO Knives. This was B, J, and J, so that's before Jeff and Jen. And then now I've got some under your regime. And so, the video is just obviously, it's very informative. So if you haven't checked that out, go and check that video out and you'll see what we're kind of talking about. Gives a little bit of teasers to what we're also talking about today. But like I said, I've known the brand prior to you guys. And I'll getting into the brand DMO, which is Dead Moose Ops, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I can't even, I'll be honest with you, and I know this is horrible, but I don't even remember the people that owned it prior, and I'm sure that you guys do, and you'll give us a little bit of information there. But I remember seeing one of my friends in the firearms industry with the breacher at SHOT Show, cutting her steak Like it was like pictures of her cutting her steak with the breacher. I was like, where did you get that knife? What is that? Tell me all about it. I've been a knife guy since my father first introduced me to a pocket knife when I was a young kid, and I've always carried a pocket knife. And I never really had a big fixed blade knife. And then I was introduced to the DMO brand. So the story goes is I got myself a breacher. At the time I was working for Dewey Rods, and we had a nice little brand collaboration where they sent me this breacher with a black handle, a black blade with red inserts, and J Dewey Rods on the blade. And it's been a staple. I mean, it's been a workhorse. I use that phrase a lot when I talk about your knives. I also use the word juggernaut when it comes to these knives, because they're just unstoppable. And it was great because there was a little bit of a lull in the DMO kind of timeline. And then all of a sudden it popped back up. And that's, I believe, when you guys took over. So I got my breacher, and I would go to the website every once in a while to take a look at it. And I think it's safe to say that the website when you guys took over was rough. I mean, it was a challenge to use. It was just like, wow, okay, but that's fine. I mean, that's just how the evolution of a brand is. I mean,
Sure.
Going back to, I just talked about Dewey Rods, going back to the Dewey Rods, they were a landing page, like a flyer web page. And then we had to turn it into a full e-commerce brand. And Jen, I know you and I talked about that in the beginning. When I was talking to you about it, I was like, here's some of the stuff that I'm familiar with e-commerce wise from ZERT. And even ZERT's website has changed, I think 3 or 4 times. So when you're a brand on the internet, you've got to make it a great experience. So anyway, that's how kind of I started with DMO. How did you guys hear about DMO knives, and how did it eventually end up kind of under your spotlight, and what made you look into this? And if you guys want to start, I mean, please give us your background too. I mean, I'd love to hear some of your background, and some of our listeners would also.
Sure. I think that I'll cover that. Then I'll throw it over to Jen for the chronological history of what we're going on. But Jen's a retired elementary school principal, school administration, did that for a long time. She's got her doctorate, and here she is, doing really cool, nice stuff. I
love it.
I'm a retired law enforcement guy, and wrapped up my career as a chief of police. And I went back to school later in life, so did the whole bachelor's, master's degree thing, and that's where I'm at too. But anyway, as far as me personally, I'm an end user. She is too, and whenever I'm in law enforcement, I was like, man, I got to have an exit route, somehow, right? Because you can't have to. I can't be 75 and kicking doors. I mean, maybe, but it probably would not be the best for anybody.
Right.
But yeah, just trying to figure out that end route, and that's how things kind of started to evolve a little bit. But as far as our intro, but let's go back to the very beginning, and I mean, I'll show mine. This is my original. This is the first one that got me on it.
Keep that up there. I'm going to blow this up for a second, just to kind of take a look. Okay. Now is that a breacher as well?
That is an OG breacher.
OG. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. OD in black. And it's got that oversized Missouri State seal.
There it is. Nice. Okay. Look at that. Yeah.
Pretty
great. Beautiful.
So I have one actually a year earlier than that. We knew the owners, we knew the people that started DMO Knives. And I saw the first one, and I said, I have to have one of those. And so I have one of the very first ones that was made. It doesn't have a number on it even. It's like earlier than Jeff's. And I was like, this is the most bad A knife that I've ever seen. And of course, being a principal, I can't carry a gun, I can't carry a knife, but I can carry a tool.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Hey, by the way, a firearm's a tool.
Yes,
it is.
So I carried my knife. I used it for everything, like all the time. And of course, bought one for Jeff the next year, bought one for graduation gifts, guys getting deployed. Like we spent money with it because we believed in the product.
Yeah.
And as a wife of a law enforcement officer, I knew that if he had to use his knife, it wasn't going to fail him. Like whether it was to protect him, whether it was to cut someone out of a car or to whatever he needed to do on duty.
Right.
I can sleep at night knowing like I don't have to worry about it. So knowing that we believed in the brand and knowing that as the years went on, we grew closer to Brian, Kathy, and Rob Garcia.
Brian. Yes.
So Brian was the original owner. Rob is the master craftsman. So it's been those two. Rob is still with us. So he's still with us as our master craftsman. So
that's great.
The original development through today has been continuous. So we're excited about that. But so it came to 2020. It was the end of 2020. And they're like, we got to sell it.
Oh, wow.
And so Brian came to us first because he knew that we had some interest in it. And also he knew that we would still work with Rob. You know, that was important that you don't just know whoever you sell something to, if they're going to be, but I think the trust was there. Right. And so that was important for him, for the brand to continue. And so we bought it. I had left public education and I just poured myself into DMO, trying to learn everything I could about it. I went to Cerakote school. So I'm a certified Cerakote applicator and started doing the Cerakote, the lasering, learned how to grind, learned how to heat treat. I learned the whole thing.
So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome right there. Yeah. Go ahead.
Kind of crazy, but I love it. I love it so much. And I know that just the community part of it is the part I love, like building those relationships and getting pictures from our owners and their families and all of that. So for me, it's about that. And knowing that we create these legacy pieces that dads or grandfathers are going to pass down to their children, something that they'll have forever. So I tell Jeff, I'm like, I feel like a tactical florist. That's what I feel like.
Tactical florist. I love it.
Instead of flowers, you're making these beautiful things that are going to bring joy and get passed down. But
no, I think that's a great way to label it. So all of the night. So it's funny you just said that you learned how to grind. We talked about this on the call that we had prior, and I showed you the knife, and I told you about the knife that I made earlier this year with Kyle Lamb from Viking Tactics. He is huge into knife making right now. Like to go get, certified as a bladesmith. I don't know, master bladesmith. Like Jason Knight came down to make a knife with him, and he showed me the knife that like you have to bend a knife and you have to do all this crazy stuff to it. It was insane. And so to learn how to grind, like I had to do that. That is very, very tedious work. And if you don't do it right, it's a bad day. It's a real bad day. I mean, just it's amazing. So do you guys forge any knives, or is it all what are they? It's called material removal, right? Or like when you make stock knives like that, because you guys do production, or are you forging?
We do production.
Yeah, we do production. If with the scale that it is right now, if we had a forge and have to go do what we do to everyone, I mean, it would take 1.5 years for somebody to get one. So we went from whenever we initially got on, maybe 20 blades a month.
Oh yeah,
something like that. Because we live in the custom end. Whenever we first got it, now it's kind of morphed and we've changed a little bit to we're having mass quantity drops with partnerships with different people and being able to provide a larger quantity of a like item. So we still have the custom end of it. So we don't ever want to lose that. That's our roots. And people can still, even if they go on the website and they say, oh my gosh, well, this is sold out. This is sold out. This is sold. Well, that's true. But you can always email or direct message us to get a hold of the custom end and we can do something very similar. But I mean, the whole forge thing, we were doing like maybe 20 a month. Now, I think last month we were over 500 out the door.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's increased. So we've tried to do a little bit of streamline, like how can we, it's like moving with a purpose or PT with a purpose. You're on the range you're going from one station to the next. Don't walk, you run, because now you're incorporating PT into the whole shooting thing, right? Okay, we got all that.
Right. Yeah.
It's the same thing here with we're maximizing movement because we have a small staff of people that every one of us, if it goes out the door, every one of us has touched that knife. So we can add a little bit of personal investment into each and every one of those that comes out. But yeah, I mean, just with the sheer mass, we get our steel from like Illinois or New Jersey, and then we have a fabricator just blast those out with plasma. They have our dimensions of everything that we have, and we get those cut the way we want them cut. So we get a bunch of blanks, and then we keep it in-house from that point. We're not outsourcing anything after that. We go through our very own heat treatment because we know what works for us and the type of blade that we want to put out with that steel. So that we're manipulating those atoms the way that we want to. It's a little bit of science experiment with each and every one of those. But yeah, that's kind of how that works.
Okay. So now the models, if you will, or the models of knives that have been around DMO knives since the beginning that I have seen are still pretty much the same on the website. So the breacher was probably one of the most popular ones that I was aware of back in the day. And then you had the crossbreed, and then the Evo fighter, right?
Yes.
The Orca, which I talked about on the video. For whatever reason, I love that blade.
Yeah.
Are there any knives that were on there that were original that have kind of been discontinued or evolved into something new that you guys are offering now? And what was the reasoning behind it?
I don't think we've really discontinued any of them.
That's awesome.
Basically, you can see multi-use for each and every one of them. So we don't necessarily want to get rid of them. We promote a certain section of them just because of popularity reasons. In order to do that. But yeah, you mentioned breacher. That was actually the first one. That's how the whole thing started, because Brian, he and I worked at the same agency before. And we're all friends anyway, but and he's known Jen for a long time as well. But it's like he wanted something done for a specific reason because he was a breacher on the SWAT team. So he asked this other guy who also worked there, Rob, that hey, can you make something for this particular purpose? And that's how it was kind of born. So
that is so cool. And I love the fact that knife is still there. And then they did a version of it called the angle breacher, right? I mean, that's still on the website as well.
Yes. Yes. And you're right. That one has kind of morphed into something else. We've not taken away the original breacher. That's always going to be there. Because I swear there for a period of time, 8 or 9 out of 10 blades that we sell were breachers, because they are point proven in the field and people love them. And then they get their hands on them. They do what they do. And then they say, you have got to get me another one because I got a gift, my buddy, or I got a gift my dad, or somebody like that,
Yeah. I mean, I just, and some of the comments, even when I put the pictures up in the past of the video, like, and they go and people go and they must look at the website, because they go and they come back and they're like, oh, that's too heavy for a camp knife. I mean, like, I don't think so at all. I love the weight of these knives. I love the sturdiness of these knives. I love the thickness of the spine. Like I said, I have no fear of me putting that on a 3 or 4 inch round log and batoning it directly through that with ease. I mean, just smashing the spine of that knife with another log, and it just works right through it. And then you can take it all the way down to a piece of kindling 3 inches wide and get even more precise with it. And you don't have to worry about swinging an axe. I mean, I'm going to put up on the screen here how it started.
Oh yeah.
And then I will show you how it's going. So you can see there's no more logo to that. I mean, it's just been, worked off. And this is a tool. Obviously, this is the ZERT crossbreed that I got, and it is awesome. I mean, you can see the spine has just been completely just banged on. There is, it's just
still straight, isn't it?
It is still straight. It is still straight. And it is as sharp as it can be after going through a lot of wood. I mean, I know that we talked and I highlighted that in the video. One of the coolest things that you guys, I feel that one of the things that I feel is the coolest thing that you do is offer a lifetime warranty when it comes to quality and a good brand that you can trust. You know that you are buying this once, and you will have this knife, like you said, Jen, to pass down to generations. Like this knife will outlive me, and that's very important.
Well, that's the cool thing. You mentioned at the very beginning about legacy pieces. I don't know a single guy that is in my friendship circle that I've run across as an acquaintance that hasn't been gifted a knife by their dad or their grandfather, or dad giving grandfather's knife on down. And that's kind of the mindset that we go into whenever we develop these blades, because not only are they going to outlast people just because of their makeup. I mean, you're talking quarter-inch steel on some of these things with G10 composite handles. It's like, that's going to last a very long time, but we want them to work and we want them to look the way people want them to look. To have that appearance so that you can gift legacy pieces. Yeah,
for sure. So then you guys purchased DMO, and you said, what was it, 2020 or 21?
The end of 2020. Yeah, beginning of 21.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, right in the middle of COVID.
Okay. Yeah, we were thinking like we had an opportunity to do that. And we were talking, it's like, and I'm not dogging on any particular fast food franchise here, but all that processed food and stuff. I'm just saying that we could have done that, and we could have opted for that and be like, okay, this will be a good thing, because you're going to make some cash off of people, doing the whole drive-through fast, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, no, we want to do this because we're sold on this product. We're both end users of the thing. We know it works. We know what good quality is as far as, what we're doing in our workshop. And that's the selling point on that. It's not, you're doing something just to make money.
Right.
No.
So did you guys, is DMO living in its original shop, or did you guys move the brand, move the company, or
there?
It was nasty.
Okay. Right. No offense, Brian. No offense.
No offense.
He knows.
Okay. It's all right.
There were days after this that I looked around and I'm like, what have we done? Like, what did we make the right choice? Like, what in the world have we done?
I cannot count. Did I not say this? Like, no more than or no less than 20 times. We're in the shop, we're out. I'm like, my high school shop teacher, Mark Arnold, would roll over in his grave if he saw that. How are you guys working? Like, I don't know.
But I remember this specific moment where we were in the shop and it was just, it was like no air conditioning, no heating. It was in an old garage bay, and Jeff grabbed my face and he goes, I want you to remember this moment. He's like, I want you to remember this moment right now, because years from now, you're going to look back and you're going to see where we were, where we started, and then where we are. And I just kept, over the years, it was hard. It was hard. We weren't making money. I'd left public education and really believed in it. I believed in it so much. And I couldn't quit. It was like the little cartoon where the guy's digging, and the gold's right here and he's digging. And then one guy walks away and the other guy comes up and starts digging and there's the gold. I just kept telling Jeff, not yet. We can't quit yet. We can't quit yet. I believe in it. I believe in it. I believe in it. And then And then we get a phone call in March, I think, of this year. And one of the guys had bought one of our knives, and he said, do you ever do partnerships or collaborations? And I said, 100% transparency. We do not have a product problem. Like, our product is amazing. I've owned this company for 3 years. I've never had a complaint. Like, everyone buys another one, or they call back and tell me how much they love it. But I said, I have a production problem. I don't have a ton of money to go buy new equipment and hire a bunch of employees. It's me and 2 part-time guys. That's what it was. Because Jeff was still, active law enforcement.
Yeah.
And so it fast forward through that. It was just like, can we come meet with you? And so we had some investors that are now our partners that came up, met with us, and said, let's do this. Like, so Jeff and I prayed about it. And so we called him back and we said, okay, go team, let's do it. And so that went from, I said, if we're going to be partners, I think proximity is important. So I feel like we need to move our shop. And they said, we have this beautiful building that we're moving out of right now. You guys can move the shop in there. And so it was one of those God things for us where there wasn't a feeling of any roadblocks. It was like a door open, a door open, a door open. And it was so easy, and there was no confusion that we knew this is what we were supposed to do. And so we got to retire Jeff from law enforcement, which was huge. Moved our family to Northwest Arkansas, which is where we always wanted to end up because we love it here.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, it was just, so here we are now.
That is a great story. I mean, I'm so glad to hear stuff like that. I mean, obviously, you're a business owner. I'm a brand owner. We never refer to ZERT as a business, and we never refer to our members as customers, because it's a community. And to see a company like DMO Knives, who I've loved since the beginning, and with a great product, to see it end up with you two at the helm, and landing in that type of situation and finding that momentum forward is awesome. And I love that. And I love that for you guys. I love that for the brand. And I cannot wait to continue to see the amazing growth that comes out of it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
We have so many new things coming in 2025. We've got some smaller, thinner blades, a lower price point. So I know that sometimes people want a DMO and they just can't afford it. So we're trying to widen our audience so that we can have more people join the DMO family and carry DMO blades. So we're really excited for that. We have a folder that is in, that will be coming out too.
Okay. So don't give away too much. We got to keep the excitement here. Yeah. But I love that stuff. I love to hear the expansion and obviously some of that. And now some of that includes the marketing efforts. I know that, even with, and that's one of the things that I talk about with ZERT all the time. I mean, I'm evolving this brand from what it was into what it is now. And it takes, it takes a village. It's not something that you can do, as a one-person show. And ZERT requires a lot of content to be created all of the time to keep members excited and informed on what's coming out and what's happening. I mean, I just sat with a range last week that is willing to work with me to create content. They'll let me go and get video film or video footage of B-roll stuff. We do product drops and product reveals all the time, but it's just, if there's no actual shooting, there's no actual testing of the product, whether it's a firearm, whether it's something outdoorsy, it's just a product unboxing. And you can give a little bit of information when it comes to a quality product, but you can't give every bit. I can tell people without any reservation the quality and durability of this knife, because I have used this knife for 3 years in multiple different situations that would put this thing to the test, and I can give an honest opinion about it and an honest review. And I think people like that. So having work partnering with you guys in that situation, I think is great. So you guys have moved to Northwest Arkansas. You set up shop, and since you said that call came in March of this year, when did you guys fully move?
June.
June.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, It was a quick turnaround, and it happened pretty fast, but that's okay. It's all worked out well, and I've got a love-hate relationship with my Razorbacks, so
Okay. All
that
right.
drama continues to unfold.
Okay. All right. Yep. All right. Well, the sports teams, they drive a lot of wedges, but
Yes, for sure. But that's okay. We're going to gift them a couple of knives.
there you go.
Maybe that'll
That's it.
bring them luck.
So we kind of touched on it before with some of the knives that are currently in the stable of knives, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing a trend in popularity change, or is the breacher still the big dog, or has the crossbreed taken over?
I know you're probably preferential for the crossbreed. I get that because I love that blade too. It's a breacher, except it's a little longer. It's kind of the same kind of a blade, but you can be a little bit more heavy duty. With what you can do with that. But some of the other blades have kind of snuck up on the breacher. Mm-hmm. It's still the staple item and will always be that foundation item. But we have a couple out there. We have sold a lot of Outbacks. That's kind of more of your bushcraft kind of a blade that you can utilize. We've done some wood stuff with it, and then gone straight to the cutting board and sliced some steak with it. So it's one of those types of multi-use items, but it's a little narrower along the blade before you get to the handle as opposed to the breacher. I think the Chub has been a pretty good one too for us.
Yeah, the Chub,
and it's a little bit smaller.
Which that's in the breacher family. So we started with the breacher, and then the brute came along, which was much longer. And then the crossbreed is in the between. That's how I got its name. It's a cross between the brute and the breacher. It's the crossbreed. Okay. And then the Chub is the little brother of that. So that's the standard, breacher, what I would say our standard model.
Yeah, the family lineage.
Family.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
others are a little different.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was that?
No, and then the others are a little different.
Okay.
They're all in their own.
Yeah.
So now the brute is no longer a regular production one.
That's one that we've not retired. We still have, but if somebody wanted it, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We have some in the back that we can that we can carve up for you.
All right, that's good. And you know what? There's a couple of them that I have not seen. So I did not. I know that the Outback is on there, and there's a special knife on the website. And folks, obviously, if you're this far into the show and you're wondering, hell, where can I go buy 2 or 3 of these? Go to dmoknives.com and you'll see all of the knives that we're talking about. So if you haven't gone there already, make sure you go there now and check this out while you're listening to the rest of the show. So the Outback, is that a new knife?
It is relatively new. It's been, it's been in when did we come up with that one? That one's not been around for about 6 or 8 months.
Okay. Yeah, that is definitely something new.
Yeah, it's newer. We had one that came out a little bit before that. We didn't really publicize it a whole lot. Mm-hmm. It was called the Beaver, and it was more of an Outback, and it had a little bit more of a belly toward the end of the blade. But the Outback is kind of its cousin. It's really streamlined all the way to the tip.
Okay. And another new one that I had not seen before is the Ranger. Is that also new?
A little bit. You want to tell the story about the Ranger on how it came about? No?
Which part of it?
You don't have to tell it.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep it a secret if you want, but it's not been out for very long either. I've talked to a few folks that have breachers, and they also have held the Ranger, and it's like, okay, these are really similar. What's the difference? And my first thing to them is, okay, you're going to get a lot of similar weight with that, but the ends are a little bit different. Like say, I'll use my old breacher or the OG, it's got the window punch toward the end there. that you can see. So yeah, you can get in there and dig out something. You can use that as a tool too with that point on that. But the Rangers are a little bit more squared off at the end. We have a different version of that. I'm going to go ahead and give away a secret right now.
Oh no!
But yeah, this is a ZERT exclusive. So the Ranger that you can see on our website, it's got the more squared end on it. We kind of reworked that a little bit, and we've added a bottle opener at the end.
No way! That's so awesome. Yes,
it's really cool. But the whole deal with the Breacher and the Ranger, and it's like, okay, well, which one do I get if I only have money for one? Which one do I get? Well, you're not going to go wrong with either one of them because either one of them are multi-use tools. The only difference is going to be your personal preference on a blade or model shape. Breacher has a little more blunt end on the nose, kind of shape on it.
Drop tip.
Yeah. And then your Ranger is more gradual, at the end. So it's just minor differences on that, but it's a whole totally different knife. And we're really excited, obviously, about the new ones that we're going to be putting out.
I can't wait to see those.
They're good. They're good.
Now, so with some of the then there's the cricket. I kind of like that little cricket there. That's a nice little little blade.
It is.
Okay, so then some of these, obviously the Breacher is still kind of holding strong, but there's, like you said, the Chub is kind of coming in there. And you're still doing the Chub, correct? The little smaller. Yeah, okay.
And I wanted to show you that too, because this brings in a really cool story of this. So here's the Chub.
Okay.
I'll do that.
All right.
How about that?
Oh, that's a good size. I mean, that's a really good size.
Yeah.
Compared to the
Breacher, we'll show that comparison. So.
Okay.
So it's a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
A little bit better for concealment on a EDC, something like that. But still, we're looking at 1/4 inch, and it's nice and thick. I mean, you can still do a whole lot of workhorse stuff with this.
Yeah. Okay.
Put it into a lot of different circumstances. But I really like what we've done with incorporating Hunter Orange into some of our blades.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. Listen, I got to tell you, Jeff, I do love the handles that you guys do. I mean, those are beautiful. And going back to making that knife, I mean, I kind of know what that handle process making and design is like. And I mean, it's just so cool. I'm sure there's a lot of us that have watched Forged in Fire over the years. And, it was so funny to me when you see these guys doing the handle construction and it's like, 85 layers of leather and there's glue dripping everywhere. And there's just like, an ugly nut and nothing is like, uniform in size and shape. And then all of a sudden they present you a knife and it looks like, it comes out looking like this. You're like, whoa, how did you guys pull that off? So it's so cool to see some of that happen. And, to see those, obviously this ZERT knife is kind of just a one color, but to see that design on that handle is awesome. I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, we do some, a lot of different combos, and we can have the G10 or the diamond wood. We can do those with a spacer in between the handle and the actual blade to add a little bit of an extra splash of color to kind of tie some things in, which is what we're going to be doing with yours, but we'll show that later. But the whole Hunter Orange thing, that actually are more incorporating it into blades now, specifically for hunters. Because if you're out late day, when we've run across this on a number of occasions where guys are out there and they're field dressing, and just by accident or happenstance, you set your knife down somewhere and they lose it because it just blends in, and there's like, I need something I can see. So we've done that specifically for that reason, so guys can actually figure out where their knives are at.
All right. So I'm sure that you, like you said, Jen, earlier, like, you love seeing the DMO family share pictures and using their knife in the field. And Jeff, you just alluded to that, them getting used when it comes to dressing an animal out in the field. I mean, do people tag you and share these pictures on Instagram? I know I've done it. I mean, it's just, you can't, I take mine camping every time. So
yeah, sometimes it's private message,
okay,
your stuff, because there's a lot of instances where they wouldn't be able to maybe share.
Got it.
But like one, I'll go ahead and mention Logan, because he shared a nice picture. We sent him with a breacher overseas to when he was deployed to Syria. Is one of my guys. One year. I was in law enforcement. He was working for me, and he sends me this, 2 pictures of his breacher in the sand with, Syria in the background. Cool picture, coolest ever, right? But we can't, tell where he's at.
Right. Yep.
And then there's one in the middle of like this table full of C4. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. But anyway, so his story off of that breacher is that they're going through the desert, and he tells me this, and I'm like, dude, next time, I don't know how, but please record this because I've got to see this. But we're going through the desert, he says, and we get out, we do some patrol, whatever. We try to get back in. The door has seized shut, and on the MRAP. And it's, the big mobile troop carriers. And so you've got this MRAP door that they can't budge. They're trying to get it open. It's not opening. And he's like, you know what? Let's give this thing a shot. So he pulls out his breacher that he had on his kit, and he shoves it in to the door jamb there and gets a nice wedge on it. They pull the big bar that they use to change the tires. For a little bit of leverage, slide it over the end of the handle. And that's basically all you had there for that leverage was that. And they sit there and they push, and the MRAP door comes open. The hydraulics seized up, it's dry air, you've got sand, whatever. Hydraulics don't work very well like that. And he pulls it out. There's like a couple of scratches on his Cerakote. Did not bend, did not break. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Video.
Like that definitely should have been captured on video. I don't, it's hard. I mean, like I said, I take mine with me every single time I go camping. And it has replaced the need for a camp axe because it does what I need to when I am car camping, and you're just buying bundles of wood from the ranger station. I'm not saying that I wouldn't take a camp axe with me if I was going to do a hike through, or some kind of, probably more of a saw and the breacher and the crossbreed. And I mean, I don't have those kind of cool pictures, but I always get cool pictures like this. Like, there it is. Doing exactly what that I needed to do. I mean, it's created the feather sticks that I need. It's created that piece of kindling, which obviously just goes onto the fire. And, you talk about jamming that thing into a stump, and it just drives right in, and it's sturdy. And then I can just literally take sticks and pull it back and create this finest feather sticks needed to just, create kindling and tinder for making a fire. I gotta say, I would love to get those pictures from end users on the DMO knives, like just to see what they've done with them and see how they use them. I probably know the answer to this, but I don't think in the history of DMO anybody has ever sent an email saying, I broke my DMO knife. Can it be repaired? It can't. It cannot be possible. These things are juggernauts.
We don't know anybody that's ever broken one. They shot one. There's a video out there that they shot it, 9 times or something?
No way.
Well,
and then it ricocheted and
oh, Jesus.
And here's mine, though, where we took one out to the range, and it's like, Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay. All right. Well, so while he's getting that, what's funny is I told you about the range that I went to on Friday. Yeah. And when I was walking around with the manager and we were talking about it, he was like, yeah, he's like, they actually filmed a couple of clips for Forged in Fire here. And I thought that was interesting. I said, what do you mean? He was like, when they've made these blades, they've had to shoot them with the gun to see if the bullet splits. And so we must have had a contestant from Forged in Fire here in Connecticut. And so they used the range to film that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I took this to the range and we got some pictures, but I need to do it again because I'm guilty of not taking video because I'm just getting involved in.
Oh yeah,
I just want to shoot stuff, right? So here's where it turned out. So we tried to shoot the G10 a little bit. It kind of went through and stopped at the steel, but it did blow the handle off.
Okay.
Up here is, if you can see that's handgun. That's 9mm. That didn't really do anything at all to it, but until we got to rifle rounds. So you shoot rifle rounds through it, it bends a little bit. And, of course, if we're going to shoot and try to see, as far as the depth of the blade, obviously it's thicker up here. It's not going to really do a whole lot. Then you start getting thinner toward the cutting edge. Okay, well, that's kind of thin down there. So we're going to go ahead and shoot through that with a rifle. But I will tell you that we shot it, and then I took it over and I hammered through a piece of wood to make wood, fire, whatever. And then after that, I took it over to a deer backstrap and was able to slide through and cut. So it's still, and we're not promoting, hey, this is 1/4 inch thick steel, you should wear it here to stop a bullet. And we're not saying that. I'm just saying that you can use and abuse this thing, and it's not gonna break on you. So you can still actually do what you're supposed to do with it.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I mean, you got to love a tool like that. And, you said at the top of the show there, you're a principal and you couldn't carry a firearm, but you carry a tool. I mean, firearm is a tool to me, and a knife is just as much of a tool. And like I said in the video that I did about this is, a knife is part of my EDC loadout, if you will, or my kit. And I use a knife more than I use obviously my firearm. I mean, when you go to my everyday carry items, what gets used the most are my flashlight and my knife. I mean, obviously now I'm not carrying a crossbreed every day in the back of my pants, but I carry a knife. So they're very much an everyday tool, and they're very much needed on a daily basis. Even if you're just cutting open an Amazon box, obviously we've all done it. So, I think it's great. So obviously that's some of the knives that that you guys are still offering, some of those awesome pictures. And, I've shown you the ZERT knife, and obviously for all of you guys that are listening right now, I hope that you're all aware, but DMO has been affiliate brand for ZERT now for a few years. I think since you guys took over, and ZERT members have always been able to get a discount over on DMO knives when, by using their coupon code. And if you don't know that coupon code, and you're a member, then just reach out and we'll get that over to you. And if you are not a member and you want some of that, then reach out to info@zertnation.com to find out how to become a member. But one of the exciting things that you guys have just started to do is this collaboration thing. And I know that there's a couple up there already that you've done. I think you did a TIG collab. Was there others, or?
Oh, for sure. Before, if we're going backwards, let's go. Okay. So we've got TIG, which, what an awesome opportunity to work with him. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The Alamo of Benghazi, the whole mystique of that. And of course, commemorating some of the lives that we lost during that event. I mean, that's a true honor. And to know that he has not worked with another knife company, we're the first ones.
Yeah.
That makes that extra special for us. So we don't take that lightly.
Yeah.
That's very, very, it's humbling, to be able to work with somebody like that. Going backwards, we worked with former SEAL Team 5, Clark Impastato. He's a huge instructor, tactician, been through a lot. Great dude. Great guy.
And he's been a DMO knife owner since the early years, 2014 or 15.
Yeah.
Like,
He's done
I
about
think.
5 of ours, and he was just itching to get a part of, a partnership with us on that deal,
That was
which
fun.
was great.
Yeah.
And then we've partnered with Alex Jones on a couple of different blades. The latest one is the Outback that we've been talking about before. So we did one with him. The Hodge twins, we also have done a couple of different partnerships with them. We did a couple of different breacher styles for them on the first partnership, and then on the second partnership, we've done another new blade called the Felon.
Okay, yeah, I like that one. That's nice. Yeah. How are those guys to work with?
They are what you see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
I can only imagine that. I mean, they are hilarious to see. They're just watching some of their videos. I'm just like, oh God, man, these guys are wild. All right. So what, so those 3, or are there more?
There's 4.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no. And then we have one coming up, another one.
Oh, you want to talk about, Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman. We're going to be partnering with him too. He's, if you ever read the book On Killing or On Combat, he's that author, former Ranger and instructor, and very huge in the law enforcement and military communities.
The Bulletproof Mind.
Yeah, the Bulletproof Mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
He's my favorite.
He is such a good guy. So you're talking about modifications. Here's a little tease on this one too. Here's another ZERT exclusive. Okay. Now,
right.
The breacher is so like good the way it is, So if there's somebody that wanted to modify it for a specific reason, it would be Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman. It's not like we would just go out and say, hey, we're going to just modify our blades for whoever decides they want something different on it. It's not the way that works. But this guy, he is him. So what we've done is we've modified the finger guard quite a bit to establish it as more of a fighting style knife. And once you hold that in your hand, you notice the difference. So not necessarily for just multi-tool, you can still use it for multi-tool, but now it's kind of in his realm of self-protection and things of that nature. So it's going to be nice. On point.
Awesome. That I can't wait to see that. Okay, so now for everybody listening, if somebody wants to get the news or the information about these knife drops, can they go to the website and sign up? Is it sign up for a newsletter? I mean, how are people getting that information?
Yeah. So just go to dmoknives.com and you can sign up to be on our email list. You can also sign up for text alerts. So we send out texts, emails, always on social media. Follow us at DMO Knives on Facebook, X, Instagram, like all of the major social platforms. And we just drop information there. And then if anybody ever wants a custom knife or has questions about that, or wants something engraved on one that they order, just have them reach out to either one of us, Jeff at DMO Knives or Jen at DMO Knives.
Yeah. And the deal with the text alerts and like an email notification or whatever, those work if we've got a drop coming up that's going to be open to the public at say, we'll just spitball here and say 7:00 on a particular night. You'll have early access to that at about 6:45. So that way you can actually get in and make a purchase before the rest of the citizenry.
And more than half our sales are return customers. So I would say, I mean, we've had as many as much as 80% on a sale, like return customers. And we're like, it's going to be 7:00 and we've got only a handful of stuff left, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of returning customers.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to these drops, are there limited numbers? Are they okay? So there's a limited number of these knives that become available. So if
and
you
it
don't
depends on the blade or the partnership, you know, or if it's something that we have done, okay, we'll make a limited number of a specific blade in that particular style. It's like, okay, that's what we do.
Okay, great. So like, so if it comes out with that handle design, that blade design, whatever that look is, there are X amount, you get in while the drop is live or you miss out, and maybe hope that something comes back around in the future. So act now. And I mean, I'm familiar with them because I'm a big fan of Dixon Flannels, and they would do these drops. And I mean, they would drop at 8:00, and by 8:02, they were out of stock.
Done. Yeah.
So, which leads us to, well, before we get into that question, my question to you is, for all those folks out there that get Cerakotes like this, and this becomes a thing, is this able to be repaired? Or let me just preface this by saying I don't want it fixed, but if somebody out there wants their whole blade to look all shiny and new because they put it in a case and they worship it every day, I use mine, so it would be no point in doing it. Could that get repaired as well?
Yes. Okay. Yes. And I know Jeff didn't tell you, but we do a lot of knives for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Okay. Their SWAT, Special Enforcement Bureau, narcotics, K9 units, all of those guys. And we actually got one back that was blade number 55, I think. 50 or 50 from 2014. They had it for 10 years and been using it, sent it back, kind of looked like that. Yeah. So I just did a whole
She calls it
spa day.
Spa day. All right, folks. So listen, if you have a DMO knife out there that needs a spa day and needs a mani-pedi on the blade, send it back in, and Jen will get your thing looking all shiny and new again.
That's right.
And if it doesn't get worn off in the next couple of years, we're going to have a big problem because, make these things work. But folks, we've been talking about the history of DMO and the blades that they have come out with, the awesome blades, the partnerships that they have, the partnership with ZERT. We just talked about the collaborations with some of these great people out here that are making knives. And one of the other exciting things that is going to happen, and it's going to kick off 2025 for ZERT anyway, and for DMO, I'm not sure if you guys have another one planned after that, but we're doing a collaboration. We're doing a ZERT knife together. So let's talk a little bit about that. We'll give you some of the information on what you guys can see out there. And I think we can show you a little bit of that. So what are we doing,
Jen?
So we have a scar, which some of you may have seen it, some may not, but it's a shorter blade. So 8.25 total length, about 13.5 ounces.
Yep.
So it's a lightweight. It's something that you can use for everyday carry, something you can take out in the field. I don't know how much you want me to tell. Stonewash.
Still same quality, same thickness, right? Yeah. I mean, all of that is the same.
Yes, and to take it through our 4-step heat treat process. So you'll have about a 58 Rockwell on the spine, about a 61, 62 on the cutting edge, which makes it malleable. So you can pry things open like Jeff talked about.
Perfect.
Black and red handle with a white spacer.
Of course, the ZERT colors. And we're going to show you guys the knife here in a second. When is this drop going live? When are we planning on doing this, Jeff?
We are doing it, I think, as soon as this airs. So
tonight.
Yes.
As soon as this airs, you can actually go to dmoknives.com and be able to get in on this. And we've designed it in a really cool way that if the public who's not a part of ZERT, you're going to want this knife because it's cool. It is really cool. And it works too. People like you that are like a combo kind of a guy. You're shedding a couple of pieces of equipment, and then you're putting the knife in your go bag or your kit to go do your hikes and stuff. It's like for people counting ounces. To me, this is a no-brainer because you're taking the place of a couple of other pieces of equipment. So shed that, put this in, and it's a multi-use blade. And I don't care how small it is, even the Scar, which is about, I would say, probably very similar in length to the Chub, but a little different blade head, a little bit more gradual cutting edge on that. But yeah, it's a really cool tool. But yeah, you go there. You can get that for a limited time because we, again, have a limited number of those available. Now, the membership, this is really cool for the members. What we're going to do for the members, so like your ZP002, we could do that on the flip side and etch that into the blade. Opposite of the logo.
All right, guys. So if you just heard it right there, I know everybody loves their call sign. You guys have it on patches, you have it on t-shirts, you have it on the Magpul magazines, your hats, some of you have it tattooed. Now you can get it on your limited run of the ZERT DMO collaboration, the Scar, which will be dropping live tonight. This episode is airing at 8 in the morning. On I believe the date is today is the day before Christmas, but this episode is airing on
January.
So
9th.
it's January 9th, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so today is January 9th. How's that for a real mind screw here? We're filming on December 4th, but today is January 9th. You're listening, and you're going to be able to pick this knife up tonight when it goes live at what time?
We normally do 7 p.m. Central Standard. So, wherever you're over on the East Coast.
On the East Coast.
It would be, 8 p.m. your time.
All right.
Whatever, work it back.
So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would be 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Yes. Work your times in there. Head over to dmoknives.com so that you can order this. Or because this is airing before then, you can sign up for the mailing list and the early access, and you'll get a text before it happens. And so you guys have created this knife already, and you have it sitting there in a sheath, and we're going to show that to you here. So you got to get a little tease of what we're showing or what we're putting out there. So let's see what we got. So we'll go in. Let me zoom it in here so you guys can see so there's a sheath. Now, will that come with the nice little tech lock that's on the back of this one?
Yes, we will do a belt attachment that will go onto your Kydex sheath. So you can do, this way, this way, this way, however you want to mount that. That's the way that'll work. But there's that, which is really cool. Is we were talking about the spacers a while ago.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
So there's your black and red, but that's a nice G10 composite handle with a little off-white spacer back there, which is really cool. And as you can see in the middle there, it's like, that's a kind of a gray color. Well, that's our stonewash that we've done on this particular blade.
Which allows you to use a ferro rod. You can spark, start your fires.
You can't do that with Cerakoted blade. Very easy. You got to wear that Cerakote off in order to hit your ferro rod. So we've made that an option on this one so that you can actually do that. You want to see the logo?
Yeah. Let's take a look at the rest of the blade so everyone can see what's happening.
Okay, here we go. This is